Alright guys, so today we're going to be checking out the brand new MiFo S, and I'm going to go ahead and assume that S either stands for sport or for small, because this pair is completely waterproof, which would make it good for sports, and it's also one of the smallest pairs that I've tested, which also makes it very convenient to use in a bunch of different ways as well, which we'll talk about. But this is also MiFo still kind of sticking to the higher end audio like they did when we just checked out their hi-fi pods. Because this isn't a cheap pair of earbuds. These come in at $170, although I was sent a coupon code for you guys to use, which brings them all the way down to $120. So if you're interested in checking these out, I will have all of that information in the description. But we do need to talk about the features that these have. We need to see what all comes inside the box. We need to talk about the sound and see if these are worth the $120 price tag. So to start with, these are using full ranged balance armature drivers, and they're also using a hi-fi DSP in these. So they're basically using a higher end amp to be able to push these balanced armature drivers. Now they are using Bluetooth 5.2. Now sadly, they only have AAC and SBC playback, so there's no aptX or aptX HD, but I didn't notice any kind of compression when I was going through my testing. These also have a low latency mode that you can switch them into. So if you want to use these for movies or videos or games or anything like that, you don't really have to worry about any kind of lag. But do keep in mind, if you're going to use the low latency mode, you're not going to be able to get as far away from your device, and that's also going to take a hit on your battery life. Now this pair does also have active noise canceling, and surprisingly the active noise canceling is very good. In fact, there's two different levels of noise canceling. There's a strong and a mild. So it starts in strong as its default mode. Even in strong mode though, I wouldn't compare these to the Sony or Bose, which again I still think is the best in the market when it comes to active noise canceling, but it does a very good job compared to a lot of others. In fact, I would say in strong mode it's pretty close to the Liberty 3 Pros. But when you switch it over into mild, it makes it where you can hear a little bit more of your surroundings. It takes away any kind of pressure you might be experiencing if you have them in strong mode. I didn't have any pressure, but I know everybody's ears kind of handle noise canceling a little bit different. Now it also has a pass-through mode, and the pass-through mode works really well. It is very sensitive. You're able to hear your surroundings easily. You can carry on a conversation without taking your earbuds out, but also keep in mind, because it's sensitive, you're going to be able to hear a lot of digital noise, basically like white noise that the mics are picking up. So it can be a little distracting if you're listening to something that may be at a lower volume, because that noise is going to kind of take over. But other than that, the noise canceling modes are very good on this pair, and the pass-through mode also works extremely well. Now another thing that I liked about this pair, and this kind of makes these a little unique, is it has a sleep mode, which basically means it'll turn your earbuds into noise canceling mode so that you can't hear any of your surroundings, but it also turns off the ability to play music or turn up the volume or change tracks or anything like that. So you don't have to worry about accidental touches, but you do have that ability to just be isolated from everything else. So I definitely like this feature. Now, if you are looking for a pair to use outdoors, this is another huge plus about this pair, because it comes in rated at IP67. So it has a very high dust protection level, and it is also waterproof. So you don't really have to worry if you're out and it drops into a puddle or if it drops in the dirt or anything like that. And that's kind of surprising, because most pairs that have active noise canceling usually sit at around IPX4. So having this higher level of protection against dust and water is again a huge plus for this pair that has active noise canceling. Now, as far as what all they've included inside the box, it does come with 4 sets of silicone ear tips, and it does come with a USB-C cable, which you'll have to use because sadly this pair does not have Qi wireless charging. And already right there, I know that's going to turn a lot of people off, because $120 or $170, people have come to expect Qi wireless charging in this price range. So that is definitely a downer when it comes to this pair. But speaking of the charging, battery life is actually pretty decent. You're going to get around around 6 hours on the earbuds with around 40 hours using the case. And it also has a fast charge feature, so if you pick up your earbuds and they happen to be dead, a quick 15-minute charge will get you 2 hours of use. And another thing that I like about this pair is if you forget to turn them off and for whatever reason you walk away, if there's no audio playing out of these for 10 minutes, it will just auto shut off. So you don't have to worry if you turned your earbuds off or not, and then that it's just killing your battery. It's gonna save the battery life there, and I definitely think this is a nice touch. Now moving over to checking out the case of the earbuds and the earbuds themselves, there are two different designs to this pair. Now on the box, it shows the other design that I didn't get because inside the box, I got this ceramic like white with a blue trim. And the earbuds inside are actually all solid blue, but the case definitely has some weight to it. But on the back, you can see it has the USB-C input for charging. And then around on the front, it has that push button to be able to release the lid. And then underneath the lid, you see 3 indicator lights. And this is what allows you to gauge how much battery life is left on the case. Now on each side of those notification lights, this is where you see the earbuds. And you see that the design has this curved shape already built into it. And this is what allows these to stay in your ears very easily. This isn't a pair that moved around. This isn't a pair that I felt like was gonna fall out. And because they're so small, this is one of the few pairs that you could actually use while laying on your pillow and just sleep without worrying about it jamming them into your ear or getting uncomfortable. Now, as far as the controls on this pair, it does use touch controls, and I'm happy to say that they give you control over everything. So you have play, pause, the ability to skip your tracks forward, go backwards, you have volume control, you have the ability to switch between the different noise canceling modes, the low latency mode, that sleeping mode. All of that you have control of right out of the box. And again, whenever I see things like this, it makes it a lot more inexcusable whenever companies don't give you control over everything. Because if you're able to control all of this stuff on one earbud without even having an app to be able to switch things around, it definitely shows you that these type of controls can be all included with no issues. Now, as far as you guys that do like to use your earbuds for phone calls, this pair does have 6 microphones total. It's also using that environmental noise canceling to try to block out a lot of your surroundings. And I think this is definitely one of the better mics that I've heard, but you guys can be a judge by listening to a test here.
So here is a mic test using the MiFo S. I think overall it does a pretty decent job of picking up my voice. I do notice that it picks up bass tones maybe a little too much where it has a warmer sound to it. But overall, I think it does a good job, especially considering that these have a higher IP rating, which usually affects the microphones. But this is what it would sound like if you were to take a call. And so now here is the mic test of the crowd noise being played, which you can hear here. So this is what it would sound like if you were to take a call in public.
So now let's talk about the sound, because the sound on this pair is excellent. It's a very full sounding earbud, but it doesn't try to overdo anything. It's like the bass has a ton of punch to it, but it's tight in a way where if you're listening to metal or anything that's very fast, the bass has no issue keeping up with it. So a bass that's that quick and that punchy just makes it very easy to switch between a bunch of different genres and it not get congested or muddy sounding or anything like that. But I will say that the mids are definitely pushed forward where I never had any issue with hearing vocalists. I never had any issue with hearing guitars. The mids just had this really nice upfront sound. Same thing with the treble. The treble is tuned up in a way where everything had so much detail to it. Now this isn't a bright or harsh treble, but it's very close to that. It's very clean, it's very detailed, and when you mix that with a bass that's just really punchy but quick, and mids that are also pushed forward, it makes this an excellent sounding earbud that just has so much detail. There's just nothing that gets lost, which again, for genres like metal or anything where there's a lot going on, this pair has no issues with being able to keep up with. And another thing that I really enjoyed about this pair is the Soundstage and the sound imaging. And I think this is again because they keep the bass tight. It doesn't sound like there's just 2 large speakers in front of you. It definitely has a very open sound, almost like a 3D sound effect without having that reverb or echo. And being able to tell where sounds and different things are coming from, this pair absolutely handled with no problem. So yes, at $120, I definitely recommend these. I will say at $170, that's where it starts to compete with the Liberty 3 Pros, and I'm a little more hesitant to recommend them at that price because the Liberty 3 Pros are offering you some of the features that these don't have, and it also has the app that allows you to do a lot more with your earbuds, or at least have those type of controls that you don't have with the MiFo S. But I'm not taking away from the MiFo S because I do feel like this is a very special pair, and the size of these makes it a lot more convenient for a lot of people that don't like the bigger earbuds. But guys, that wraps up my video on the brand new MiFo S. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Thank you so much for checking out all the other videos. And as always, make sure to stay tuned for more.